what we have to understand that as far as the Russians are concerned, that they at one moment can be very Russian and another moment can be very communist. It's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde syndrome that works. I have such vivid recollections of that, both with regard to Khrushchev, but also with regard to Brezhnev. We would have, for example, a very, very tough argument with Brezhnev, and then we'd go up to dinner, as we did at Adasha afterwards, and he would be raising his glass and toasting the grandchildren, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I don't mean by that it was an act, either the first time or the second time. What I mean is that there are split personalities there. And my conclusion basically is this. We have to understand the world as it is. Russians and Americans can be friends, and everybody must remember that. We were friends and we were allies too. Russians and Americans were too. But the governments of the United States and the Soviet Union can never be friends because our goals are totally different. So what we have to do then is to find a way to deal with the Russian leaders as much as we can as Russians, recognizing also that as communists, that they do not have our best interests, to put it mildly, in mind. I think, too, that another recollection that I have of Brezhnev that is interesting is the way that he was so physical in his conduct. He was a man who was always grabby in his conversation. When I was riding along after being in the Crimea to the airport in the car, and he'd put his hand over on my leg and this and it. I felt that I was in the Oval Office with Lyndon Johnson. Because Johnson also, I just think it's a shame that those two never got together. It would really have been a bear wrestle. But on the other hand, I would say that while Brezhnev was, without question, a ruthless, tough communist, he could be a very warm, generous Russian. He could be like a little boy with his collection of cars, for example. And he drove like a madman, practically scared me to death one time when we'd given him a new Lincoln, and he drove over the single-lane roads up in Camp David, going around curves that I wouldn't even take at 30 miles an hour. We were going 60. And after we got out of the car, he said, "This car handles very well." One of the prices of diplomacy.